morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. Today I want to talk a little bit about affirmation campaigns. For those of you who are unaware or are new, affirmation campaigns is a navigational technique for our life to be able to control what's going to happen in it and what experiences we're going to have, as well as hopefully what outcomes. In my experience, I can tell you 100% with absolute certainty that it works. No question about it. However, and it's actually pretty astounding how well it works. Don't get caught up on the time. Okay, timing, people ask me, what about the timing? What about the timing? What about the timing? I want this done really soon. I'm like, guys, it takes a certain amount of time to traverse these world lines. I mean, you just can't say I'm going to speed over to that one. It's just, I can't control the timing that well, but it does happen, and it's real. And when it happens, holy lordy, it does happen. So I want to talk a little bit about this. I hope I'm not too soft in my speaking. I'm speaking from my home. My little girl's still sleeping. I'm doing this. It's 5 something in the morning. Don't want to wake them up. But I really want to get this out. You know, earlier I have been doing the basic series, and so I'm going to lay that out. Actually, there's a lot of things I have to do. My schedule has been very, very full, and it is accelerating. So I'll get these things done and better organized and laid out. One thing that I do want to stress, though, in this video is when you make an affirmation campaign, it does absolutely happen. But it may not be what you expect or want. So let's talk about this. And the reason why I want to talk about this now is this month I am ending up on my latest campaign. Again, for those of you who may not know, I've tended in the last year to be running a 3-4 campaign. 3 months on and 4 months off. This particular campaign is the 3rd month of active. Every day I sing my affirmations, and at the end of this month I will absolutely stop. In this particular month, what I have done, or in this particular campaign, what I've done is, while I have a spreadsheet listing all my affirmation campaign items, I only selected a handful, and I wrote them out in a little book by hand. My rating, you can't read my writing, but basically it's it. I am financially secure. My family and I are happy. We're all healthy and safe. My source of income is very secure. I'm very lucky. Blah, 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 blah. The basic stuff. And I've just been reading this, and of course I have my own personal stuff in there. Some of these are very detailed, when your life starts to get a little chaotic, that means that things are happening, changes are happening. See, if your life was stable and steady, you're not experiencing changes. But if your life starts jumping around and you're getting busy or things are happening, it means your changes are occurring, right? So the reason why I put in a little book is I don't have to turn on the computer when I move from place to place because I'm much more mobile than I was before. Since coronavirus was squashed within China, I'm able to do much more, and I'm very busy. Most of my affirmations have to be they're short. I've broken my longer sentences into shorter sentences. They have to do with where I live, economic situation for my family, general economic situation for where I live, which is China, and health and all this. Some of the things that I have concentrated in on in the past, I've kind of eased up on. I said I've done enough. Let's let it percolate. And it's percolating. Who knows when some of those things will manifest, except that they will. They always do. Make no mistake about it. They will, and they always manifest. So, and all these things are coming about just like, well, they're just going to come about. The trick here on these affirmation campaigns is you, as detailed as you get, there's so many other influences that will cause them to manifest in ways that you do not anticipate. For instance, since there's no such thing as time, when you have your affirmation, it's like a pot of stew. The stew's been cooking your entire life, and ever since you were a little kid, a little boy or a little girl, you were adding stuff to the stew and flavoring it, and now you're adding a bunch of salt. Will that change the whole stew? Well, eventually it will. Depends on the other flavors, and it's sort of like that here. It's more like localized bubbles. There's like bubbles within the stew, but that's another subject for another time. Anyways, as these things percolate and start to manifest, you're going to be astounded. As I've said before, you can always tell things are happening because things start getting busy and choppy. You can always tell when your big dreams, your big requirements start happening, your big ticket items start happening, is that there's a dwell of nothing happening, and then suddenly there's a big thing that happens. That's the way you can always tell. There's always a dwell before a big thing, and then the big thing happens. It will seem like nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden it does. That's the nature of this process. That's the nature of this technique. And when it does, it'll hit you like a locomotive. You will be hit. And all my things are, my personal affirmations are fine. I didn't have anything really too radical, but sometimes, after doing affirmations for a long time, like there's certain affirmations I've been doing now for like 3 or 4 years, and they're like bits and pieces, then they fade off, and then bits and pieces, and they fade off. So there's obviously something that was causing them to fade off. And so I kind of did a full release on them. Okay. And I'm not including them in my affirmation campaigns now. They need to cook, manifest without any more direction. And that's the core of what I want to talk about now. Let's suppose you have an item. I'm going to pick an item out of random, out of many, many things. Something big. Something like a relationship. Let's suppose that there is a certain person out there that you want to have a relationship with. Now, this is not my affirmation campaign, but I'm using this as an example. Let's suppose there's somebody out there, and you're married, and you've got a life, and you've got kids or whatever, but there's something out there, some relationship that you want. And now, relationships and people are more complicated. They're not a simple thing like an iPhone or a car, okay? They're complicated with all kinds of other stuff. And so you want this to manifest. And so you've been putting it in there and it hasn't been manifesting. You've been putting it in there and it hasn't been manifesting. And when it has manifested here, that comes with all kinds of other baggage. You have to realize that all this, the more complicated your affirmation target is, the more involved your affirmation target is, the more time it takes to cook, and the way that it manifests may not be exactly what you're expecting. So, for instance, let's suppose that you want to be with somebody, and you just want them to be free and happy, but very, very, very organized. Well, free and happy and organized are two separate sides of the spectrum, right? Organized, sure, they're a CEO at a company that they own and they're busy all the time. Free and happy, they don't have any time to be free and happy. You see what I'm saying? They're two separate sides of the spectrum. That's why I always say, keep things simple. And things will manifest the simpler you keep them. So let's suppose that you've been doing this for a long time. You're not getting the person. You're getting a relationship with the person who's either a business owner and very organized, or getting somebody who's free and happy and that's loosey-goosey and nothing's really happening. Stop. Let it run its course for a little bit. Okay? Try to keep things simple. I'm going to use some example. Now I'm going to use some actual examples from my own experience. One of the things I said is I eat well and I eat very healthy meals. Lordy. And I told you this, guys. So when it manifested, I found that my wife had put like 10,000 RMB on a restaurant, on a VIP and a vegetarian restaurant. And because my daughter seemingly liked vegetarian food, well, she didn't. And so we have to eat up all this money that we put in the restaurant. So for goddamn, all the time, all I was eating was vegetarian food. Tasty, expensive. There's a hassle going out to the restaurant. And I'm a meat eater, okay? So it was not exactly what I wanted. I was like, not vegetarian food again, please. It was tasty food. It was healthy food, but it wasn't what I wanted. Sometimes you just want a hamburger, okay? And that is true with everything, don't you know? Eventually, I adjusted my vocalization on my affirmation campaigns just to something very simple. I eat well. Now that created another problem. I'm eating well. I have more food than I know what to do with. When I'm with my wife, she is always ordering like meals for like 12 people. You know, it's just me and her and our kid, you know? It's just food galore. And it's tasty food. I can't stop myself from eating it, so I'm gaining weight. So, you know, you have to recognize that what you say is coupled with power. So I'm going to review a couple of points right now. I want you all to pay attention, okay? The first thing is, words are coupled with power. Don't say anything bad. Nothing. Say nothing bad. Ever. That especially pertains to you and your circumstances. Don't depreciate yourself. Don't say, well, I'm not as smart as you are, or whatever. Don't even go there. Words are coupled with power. Say only good things and say nothing bad, no matter how you do it. This is not just in affirmations, this is in life. Okay? An affirmation is just a period where you're making statements, but your entire life, your entire daytime activity must be positive or neutral. Okay? Say nothing bad. That's point number one. Point number two, keep things simple. Simple. The simplest and shortest statements are always going to give you the best results, and they will also hit you quickest. Since they're so broad, the events that you put into your pot of stew that is your current life is easier to sort out. It's something very complex. So keep things very, very simple. Always keep things simple. You say things like, I am happy, I am lucky, I eat well. Whatever they are, keep things simple. Your results will hit you faster, and it'll be good. The third thing, and it's very important, stick to the basics. In your campaign, you should always have basics. Stick to the basics. Not the whole campaign should be basic, but you need to stick to the basics. You are healthy. Good luck follows you. You are lucky. You stay away from bad people and are protected from bad people. These are basic statements, but you should have them. How can you possibly run any campaign that doesn't say that you're not happy? You have to have you're happy. Even if all the other campaign things seem to be falling apart, at least you'll be happy while you're doing it, okay? Make sure the basics are in there. Doesn't need to be a lot of things, but keep the basics in there. I think we're on point 4. Losing track, guys. Next point here is, whether it's point 4, whatever it may be. If you are enjoying your life and you like your life, then put the elements that you like in your affirmation campaign. Because affirmations create transient situations. They don't permanently lock in place. So it's like that one show in The Simpsons where Homer had this dream machine, wish machine, and teleporter, and he goes to these alternate world lines. And there's one world line where it's raining donuts, and before he decides to think about it, he runs over to another world line. It's like, stop. Find, if things start going your way, keep them in your prayer campaigns, your affirmation prayer campaigns. People call this gratitude. They say, we need to give gratitude. That's just another word for saying, if you find something in your life you like, keep it in your campaign, even when you have it. It's called gratitude. Keep it there. And again, I want to elaborate just a little bit more about gratitude. I hate the word. I hate that word. Because people are like, I give praise and thank you for this. Thank you, O Lord, for giving me this blessing and blah, 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 blah. Please, gratitude is maintaining the elements in your life that you have right now that you want to keep. Because remember, again, it's transient. Unless you lock it in place by putting them in your affirmation campaigns, you will lose them. A lot of people have, here's another issue. A lot of people put a lot of things concerning career and work and stuff in their campaign. I want that job, or I want this position, or I want this kind of income, and blah, 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 blah. And you can do that, and it will manifest. But I will tell you, the more complicated your campaign elements are, meaning the more other people it involves, the more other things start rolling. So if you can imagine a campaign item as an individual affirmation as a gear spinning around. When you start involving other people, other organizations, other entities, they become clusters of gears. Become clusters of gears spinning around. They get more complicated. And that has good and bad aspects. In general, the more complicated things are, the greater the good and the worse the bad. Which is why you'll see on, say, YouTube and throughout the internet, some people are advocating a simpler life. I am not advocating a simpler life. I am advocating a stable, happy life, which may or may not be suitable for everybody, but suitable for you. What is suitable for you is not suitable for everybody. Okay? There are people who follow MM that are entrepreneurial in nature. There are those that are sedate in nature. There are those that are positive in nature, and those that have a lot of negative attributes in nature. We're all different. But we all want one thing. We all want to be happy in our own individual ways. So when you do your affirmation campaigns, try to keep them simple. Though it may describe complex events. Okay? I'm going to put another thing out here. Affirmation campaigns aren't really all that great unless you have some big things in there. Make sure you have some big things, big ticket items. Whether it's a new car or a new home or a new career or something you've always wanted, like your own personal chair. Maybe it's you like scented high-end quality toilet paper. Whatever your thing is, okay? Pop it in there. Okay? And it doesn't matter if it's something physical or if it's, well, I wish that the soul of my dead pet would come back to me. Whatever it may be. Include those things. And I've said this before, a lot of this stuff is kind of bits and pieces from all what I've said, but try to keep in mind that what you want to do, what you really, really want to do, is give yourself some telltales. So you know, when some of this stuff happens, especially for you newbies, you're going to enter a period of crazy immediately, and then a period of nothing happening. That's the way it works. It's going to be a period of crazy, and then a period of nothing's happening. It doesn't work. And then boom. But you're going to need some telltales. Put something off the wall that's plausible but very unlikely in your life. As an example, it could be anything, and these will tell you if you start manifesting it, that seeing this telltale, you'll be like, yeah, my stuff are working. It could be, say, I will start seeing the number 888 all the time. Right? It's a telltale. Or you could say something like, I'll start having apples for breakfast. Just off the blue kind of things. It's not really that important, but you'll know that when you start seeing something like that occur, like, huh? What? You know that your affirmations are beginning to happen. I will see a dog with a purple hair or a purple tail or something, just kind of off the wall kind of stuff. And you'll see. And you'll know that your affirmation campaigns are running. And guys, remember, regardless of your affirmation campaign, just be a decent person. Just be a decent person. Don't go after the big money. Don't try to climb up the corporate ladder and all kinds of stuff to become, another Steve Jobs. If that's not, in this world line, it's not in your world line. But just be the best you can be. Be helpful to others. Be part of a community, and things will be fine. Just be the best you that you can possibly be. That's all. That I think is our highest calling. Just be the best you that you can possibly be. And with that being said, know that I believe in you. Always be the best you can possibly be. Be kind to dogs and cats. Make your life memorable. Eat an ice cream cone. Go to the local diner and order a blue plate special. Try something new for a change. Kind of mix up your routine a little bit. Say kind words to other people, even if it's bullshit. And when people are yelling at you and saying bad things, just kind of get away from them. If you're on social network, you delete them. You don't need to hear the bad shit. And with that, people, know that I believe in you. Take care. Remember, you control your life, and you will do fine. I believe in you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
God help those who stand in our way.